All right, call the meeting to order at 6:03. First item of business is public comment. Please try to keep it to 3 minutes or less. And
But we have this, we have to have them. They have to be on,
like, apparently, this one. Microphone there.
sometimes when they're next thing. How do I turn it down? It's background, it's so nice.
Volume down the laptop.
Okay, yeah, I do. Thank you.
We're gonna recruit you.
So will that solve the delay? Like,
Yes.
okay, thank you. Okay. It's good to know technology, right? Okay.
Something we said for in-person meetings, that never happens.
So should we start with public comment?
Are you ready now?
Mhm.
Okay. Yep, and there's only one agenda item. It's discussion of selection of interim first selectman pursuant to Connecticut General Statute 9-222. And we may go into an executive session at some point. But there's no reason to go into executive session for public comment, so does anyone in the room wish to speak? I guess the rules are, if you wish to speak, stand up and give your name and address.
And there's 3 minutes. We're gonna try to keep it to 3 minutes.
I just have one
Sure.
thing. Will Brenton, Town Clerk, 168 Sperry Road. I just wanted to, I think you're probably already aware of it, but there's a lot of social media posts and some news reports about the timeline. If there was a petition for a special election, honestly, I didn't know the answer. I talked to the Secretary of State's office several times. And it's a totally different process from when we have a petition for a special town meeting. Or a referendum, which happens in 2 or 3 weeks from that. This would be a minimum of 120 days to 150 days. So at the early, if we got a petition today, it would be the middle of October before you could have a special election.
No,
That's what the Secretary of State told me.
I don't think that's right.
It's there's a 2-week period from when we receive the petition to when it has to be given to the town chairs. Then there's 48 days to the primary and 56 days to the election. Cause you have to, it's kind of the same calendar we have for the election that's coming up November 4th. Where the endorsement period is the middle of July. And then the primary would be September, election November 4th. You have to leave the exact same 9-222 references the other statutes that say that you have to leave the time for those things to occur. Whether they do or not, there might not be primaries, there may not be you have to leave the time for it. And I sent the whole timeline to this Secretary of State, and they said, yes, about 120 days is as soon as we could do it. Anyway, I just wanted to, because some were saying 60 days, some were saying it can't be till December, that's why I want to just make that statement.
So, does that assume that if we decide today that we're not gonna agree, do we have to wait 30 days and do nothing? Is that,
No, a special election has nothing to do with road.
well, it factors into the 120 days.
It doesn't,
Well,
completely separate. So if we agree on someone, then that person will be appointed.
mhm,
And if we don't agree on someone, no one else can do anything for 30 days. And after 30 days, a different group of officials will appoint.
and how much time do they have?
They would have 30 days as well.
Mhm.
It doesn't say what happens after that, but our only focus is on our appointment. Totally separate from that is somebody could petition for a special election, it has nothing to do with when the appointment. Well, I guess it does, but it starts,
The timeframes are all sort of connected, you know?
yeah, it's their deadline to get the petition starts then, but.
The clock, it's 15 days after someone is chosen is the last day you can submit a petition. You could submit before that. But, so you'll know if you appointed someone tonight or in 30 days or whatever, then there'd be a 15-day period, and then after that, there couldn't be a special
Right,
election.
Right. Well,
But we're getting off
Anyway,
topic because we don't control the special election that has to do with
right.
people who sign.
I mean,
petitions.
I think it's a good question, and I agree that there's been a lot of confusion, so I was gonna do like a little bit of a rundown so that we can talk about what the process is. So, you know, this doesn't happen very often, so the confusion is to be expected. But before does anyone else have questions about, or wanna speak? Were you done, Will?
In the room,
Okay, thanks.
anyone else have comment in the room? Sorry,
I have a question.
Can you just say your name and address?
Phil Wade, 150 Litchfield Turnpike, Bethany. If you appoint an interim, is it by law or is it true or is it by rumor that they cannot run in the fall election?
no, it doesn't say.
There's no rule that says that.
So whoever gets appointed now could run in the fall election.
There's no prohibition.
The appointment is only through the remainder of the term,
Right.
so they would be just like all of us, their term would end, I think, December 1st.
And they could run and they could start their campaign while they're sitting.
Has
as
nothing to
interim.
do with it, right, nothing to do with that.
What?
Yeah.
But yeah, okay.
There's no prohibition, so.
Right, there's no prohibition, so whoever you agree to appoint can run in the fall. Okay.
Was there other comment, Connie?
Connie Royster, for Fairwood Road, Bedford. My question is, I don't see a town attorney here. Do we have a town attorney as of, Paula's, resignation started?
Connie, can I just say that the town attorney is the same town attorney that we've had? There's a town ordinance that you can find on the town website that says that the town attorney will remain in place until his replacement is appointed. That hasn't happened. So Vin Marino is our town attorney.
Thank you. I just didn't see anyone here.
We've had a practice over the last few years of having him at every meeting. There's no legal issue here for tonight, right? So, you know, in my opinion, we don't need an attorney at every meeting that we have. So, I didn't know if he was going to be here or not, but, you know, I think that talking about names and the appointment of an interim is not a legal issue where we would need advice for that.
I happen to agree with you. I was curious that he wasn't here.
Okay, thank you. It's a good question.
Thank you.
Further comments from people in the room? Seeing none, does anybody online have public comment?
Turn your volume back on,
All right, thank you.
So they can hear us?
so you.
So we can hear them.
Ready?
I'm ready. But I
There's
don't,
usually some little icon in the hand that the raise.
Yeah, they can hear us though?
yeah, they could type a message if they want if they are having trouble unmuting, they can unmute or type in the chat and I'll unmute them. But I'm not seeing it.
If anybody online has a comment, please unmute yourself and make the comment or raise your hand. Through Zoom or type in the chat. We'll give you a minute for that. Okay.
Still seeing none.
Okay. Then we'll move on to item 3, which is the discussion of selection of interim first selectman. So you wanna go first? You want me to go first?
It's.
Yeah.
You can go
Flip a
first,
coin.
yeah.
All right, I would like to nominate Sal Amadeo to fill the first selectman's term. I don't know if you wanna make a nomination, but I thought it'd be a good idea if whoever we nominate introduces themselves.
Well, some people might not be here, you know, the people that we may or may nominate might not be here.
Okay.
So do you, before we got started with nominations, I wanted to talk about a little bit about the process, again, because that confusion. And because doesn't happen very often, I could be totally wrong myself, so I look forward to working with you and seeing if we can figure this out together. In terms of what's happening today, I don't think there's no confusion about what's happening right now, which is that, you know, Bob and I have authority to fill a vacancy. I was gonna start by sort of looking at the parts of the statute. The first mention of the statute says that one of us can be appointed, and I was wondering if you were interested in doing that. Just because I just want to be thorough and cover all our bases.
No, I mean, I'm busy at work and I don't think I could devote the time to it that it needs. I could do it for a very short period of time, but the statute doesn't really allow for that. And then I guess the question would be, are you interested?
No, I'm in a similar position, so I just wanted to, you know, cover the bases. So if one of us wanted to do it or were interested or had capacity and the time to do it, we would then fill the vacancy left by our, you know, departure from the positions we're in now, or the position. So we can move on from that. So again, 30 days, that in my view of it, we have until July 6th to agree to nominate someone to be interim. That's actually a Sunday, so I think it probably would actually fall on the Monday, which would be July 7th. And you know, if we announce to Will that we can't agree, I believe that the process of the next 30 days could start immediately. I don't think we'd have to wait out the rest of those 30 days.
What's that? If
So,
you're saying if we decide tonight we can't agree,
or if we decide Friday that we can't agree.
no, that's not the way I read the statute. Let's see. It shall be filled within 30 days after the day of its occurrence by the remaining members of the Board of Selectmen. If such a vacancy is not filled within 30 days, the town clerk shall call within 10 days, notify the elected town officers of the same political party as the vacated case. So no, there's no way we can shorten that 30.
Well, we can, because here it's just telling you the maximum time, right? You have 30 days, and if you can't agree and you use up all your time, then they're talking about the process. But if you look at,
The way I read it.
if you look at,
If it's, so if the second group of people only has the power to appoint if we don't fill it within 30 days. It doesn't say anything about less than that.
I'm not really sure what you mean by that.
It doesn't say meet once and then it goes on to the next group. It says if it hasn't been filled by us within 30 days.
That's right, no, I agree
Then
with
it
that.
goes to the
Of
next.
course, I agree with that. We can meet every day, we can meet once a week. We have 30 days, but what I'm saying, we can agree tonight, or we can decide tonight that we're not gonna agree.
Okay, but it
And
doesn't,
that would,
it doesn't provide you can skip to the next step.
I think it does. Let me just find it.
Oh, it does make sense, but it's not what the statute says.
Well, I guess it's silent on that. It just tells you what the maximum time is, but it says,
So the second group of people I don't think they can get power just by our agreement
yes,
to
they
give
do.
it to them.
You mean if you and I agree, that person has the power to be interim?
No, the second group of people.
Oh,
if
the
we
electors,
fail,
the,
They don't get power until after 30 days. They don't have the appointment power.
I don't, I
I
think,
understand what you're
they
saying.
do.
Common sense says,
Yeah,
if we can't fill it, why is it saying vacant for 30 days? But the statute doesn't seem to read that way. So you'd have to read that into it.
no, there was something here. I just have to find it. You know, so for example, it alludes to the process of not wasting time a little later, which I do think makes sense. So you have, our process is 30 days. The next 30 days would be the elected official, the electors. And if people wanted to petition for a special election, if you look at the where it says that such a special election shall be called by the town clerk upon the filing of the petition. So it's like the filing of the petition triggers the next step. Just like I think if we said to Will today, look, we're not gonna agree, let's not waste 30 days, right? Let's get the process rolling. I believe Will would have authority to call on the electors and say, you know, you have 30 days to decide. So whenever we motion to Will that our process is finished, then those 30 days start.
It's very sensible, but I don't think that's what the law says.
Well, I mean,
And if
later
we're
on,
making an appointment of first selectman, so if it's, you probably have to run that by the Secretary of State's office.
I mean, the question of whether or not we have to sit here for 4 weeks and do nothing, I don't think the statute says that. And I think you have a clue here where it says the special election shall be called upon the filing of the petition, which could be the first day. You don't have to wait all of the
That's a
days.
totally separate part of the
It's in the same statute, the same paragraph,
In the
and I
same-
think,
paragraph, but has not, the special election has nothing to do with the appointment, so we should really just focus on our
Okay.
duties.
but the 30 days, it doesn't say that you have to wait. It doesn't say that. It just says you
And it
have.
doesn't say you can skip
Okay,
it.
well, I mean, I think common sense. I think it would be terrible for this town to sit for 4 weeks and not do anything.
I don't see anything in there that says we can.
And I don't see anything that says we can't.
You're right, it doesn't say. you
I
can't.
mean, it doesn't. So it'll be a question, you know, and I'm happy to do some research on that just for, just so we can be sure.
Yeah, unfortunately, if somebody's going to, where's the power of this elected group of Republicans in this case? They would have to look at the sentence that starts that. If the vacancy has not been filled within 30 days. So. You're implying that you can shorten it, but I don't.
No,
see
I'm
that.
not. I'm just, that's the maximum time we have. That's the maximum time.
Okay, it says if it hasn't been within 30 days.
Right.
If it hasn't been filled, then, if 30 days, then. If not 30 days, then they don't have the power to appoint.
It doesn't say then. It says you have a maximum time of 30 days. And after the vacancy. And the town clerk has 10 days.
Well, this is
to
gonna
notify
have
the
to be
elected.
decided by other people than us. And I mean, a town attorney could render an opinion, but it's really not a town attorney.
I
opinion.
agree.
It's, you know,
If we agree, then it's right.
but I have a feeling you're gonna be stuck with a questionable appointment. If the second group of people, say, the second group of people may say, we don't agree with your interpretation, so we have to wait. And they have up to 60 days.
I don't think so.
I don't think, well, why would they want to appoint someone whose authority is in question?
Because we wouldn't want the town to sit for a month with no.
Okay. But shouldn't we focus on what we're supposed to do
If you
then?
want, let's go, but yeah, sure.
Let's just do that,
So we have,
not talk about what other groups are.
well, I mean, it's all connected and there's been a lot of confusion, so.
But right, but we're not those other electors, we're not people signing petitions, we're just supposed to try to fill the position. So I nominate Sal Amadeo, and I would like him to introduce himself to you and to anyone else who wants to listen.
Sure.
Okay, Sal,
Yes.
you wanna pull up a chair or just stand, whichever? I mean, typical interview question, tell us a little about yourself and why you think you're qualified for the position.
How you doing?
Good, how are you?
I don't think we met. So.
I don't think so either. Gina, take care.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Right, so lived in Bethany most of my life. I recently retired from the town of Wallingford. I was a purchasing agent and contracting authority for them. Worked there for almost 30 years. As the purchasing agent, we purchased everything. We had electric division, sewer division, water division, board of ed. We purchased for them also, and for the town departments. There was a department, I had 7 people when I started, through efficiencies and everything, we got it down to 4 full-time people. Okay. I'm familiar with municipal structures. Like I said, I worked in the municipality for almost 30 years of budgeting, the Munis financial software. I'm a certified public purchasing officer. There's maybe a dozen of us in the state. I was involved with PPAC, the Public Purchasing Association of Connecticut, for many years. I was on their board of directors, the executive committee of the past president. Familiar with state statutes, tons of them, we had to use them all the time, grants, federal and state grants. That's about it as far as work goes,
Mhm.
yeah. So,
Can you tell me a little bit about any involvement with the town that you've had?
I was on the Board of Ed for 12 years, Bethany Board of Ed. Okay, and I was involved for, I kind of got away from it, but I was involved for a long time with the Republican Town Committee.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Have you been following the news, and what's happened here in town with regarding the Park and Rec?
A little bit, yes.
What do you, can you share what you know about what happened?
Well, it's just, there was somebody that was accused, that worked for the, Park and Rec, that was accused of, improper conduct, if you will, with children. And, it's a very, very, very sad thing, and it's one of the reasons why I agreed to, possibly fill in the interim, was just to try and, calm everything down, bring a sense of normalcy back.
Do you have an opinion on whether town programs for children should be licensed?
Licensed, you mean the employees?
No, like whether whether the town should pursue getting licensing from the state to run a childcare program,
A childcare program,
Mhm.
or,
like the before and after school program,
program,
things
yeah.
like that.
if that's a normal, thing, I have no problem with it. I mean, I don't know if that's a normal,
It's not normal in the sense that the state of Connecticut doesn't require it for
Okay.
municipalities.
okay. All right.
I'm just trying to get an idea on what you think about.
Well, I mean, I don't know how to put it, but, I believe in protecting children at all costs. I mean, that's just a given. If we should do something like that to protect children, then fine. If not, if it's not needed, then we would look at, is there a cost involved? Is it gonna limit the number of people or who can work there? Because it might be hard to get this certification and, I mean, maybe if somebody can't get the certification, you don't want them.
Well, it would be the town, so it would depend
Okay.
on
Is there a
like
liability to the town if we did that?
get licensing.
If we required licensing and then something happened, for instance, or we didn't require licensing and something happened?
Well, there is no liability currently because the state doesn't require it. So the
But-
liability that we have lies entirely with,
Right,
If things occur.
right.
right.
And there was a public vote, and then the town did have a referendum vote, and the majority voted not to require licensing. So it's something I believe Park and Rec is looking into, but they're not mandated.
Not mandated to it, yeah. Yeah, I don't know enough about the licensing process or what it is to really.
But there were like there are some recommendations regarding for licensing that came out of the Pullman Conley report, as well as
Mhm.
Park and Rec, that we are being implemented to make things safe.
See, yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
So can you tell us a little bit about what you think, what types of qualities a person should have if they're, in a position like first selectman?
The type of qualities.
Yeah.
Oh, you have to be thoughtful. You have to be willing to listen. To, to all sides and all concerns. And be available.
Would you be coming in with any agenda? I'm gonna get A, B, and C done.
No, it would, if I was appointed, it would be just at an appointment, so I wouldn't have, I don't think I would have a mandate from the people, so I wouldn't wanna put an agenda forward and try and change things, if you will. That would be through the election process and your platform and, whoever wins that election should be able to implement their policies that they ran on.
Do you think you would run for November?
I am not planning on it, no.
Maybe though, right?
Well, it's like that old adage, you never say never, but I'm not planning on it. I've been asked to. I'm enjoying retirement, it's,
Yeah.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
um, do you have an opinion about, so you're saying pretty much that you think the interim should keep the status quo?
With the runnings of the town, sure. Yes, definitely. I wouldn't want to come in and, I mean, I've got my own opinions on the way government should be run. Wallingford was a pretty efficiently run town, and I've seen a lot of things that I think would be good, but
Can you give me an example of what they're doing in Wallingford that you think is?
well, like,
good?
even in the hiring process, everything is civil service positions, so everybody has to take an exam. When after the exam, the department is given 5 candidates, the top 5 scored candidates, and that's all you can see. So you don't know who takes the exam, you don't know who's number 6, you can't reject one to try and get to number 6, just things like that.
That
It's
is a
just-
good, I agree.
Yeah.
That is really good, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, that's a really good example. Do you have an opinion or I don't know if how many meetings you've gone to or, YouTube videos you've watched of town meetings and Board of Selectmen meetings or Board of Finance meetings or Board of Ed meetings. I was wondering if you have any opinion on our current town attorney.
I don't have an opinion on him, and I'll be honest with you. I had to pull back from the RTC and politics in general for a while. My wife got very sick. She passed last year, and I just haven't been focused on town
Yeah,
issues
that's
all that
understandable.
much. So, thank you. So, like I said, I retired 6 months ago, and I'm just starting to get back into affairs for the town, really. So I haven't, I know Vince, I've seen him, I've talked to him, but I haven't really been following him. I don't know. I have really no opinions on him. Heard good things and bad things, so.
So you think just to be consistent with the sort of keeping things as they are, you might lean towards keeping him on?
Unless there was a problem that arose or if there was an issue that I became aware of, yeah, I wouldn't plan on changing the town attorney until the next election. Whoever wins could, yeah, I guess, if something came up, I wouldn't hesitate if we had to, if it was in the best interest of the town. But, for an appointment that's a few months, it's almost kind of silly to appoint an attorney and then, a few months later, possibly have him replaced.
Well, it might be silly if you don't know all about what's happened in the last year and a half.
Ooh,
So I just want to
right,
say, I don't
right.
want to get into details, but
Right. Well, right.
it might
and I'm
not
just-
be.
yeah, I'm just looking at it from the fact that we've got, 3-4 months? And then you're gonna have a new first selectman and that person should. Is that if there was a problem that I became aware of, then
Do you have a question? You look like you're gonna say something.
No, yes, yeah, I mean, I don't know if you're familiar, the ordinance about the town attorney makes it exclusively a first selectman
Right.
appointment, which is why we're asking.
Right, yeah, I remember when that whole thing came out.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, Greg Stoll and
You probably
John,
read the memo we read, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, 2003.
Yeah.
yeah,
So what would you say to someone, a town resident, for example, who feels traumatized by what's happened here and wants, and thinks that maybe it shouldn't be a Republican who's leading the town? What would you say to that person who's genuinely concerned about what's happened here?
I can understand. You know, if somebody is truly traumatized and my heart, goes out to these people and the children, of course. But, I don't think it should be a Republican or Democratic issue. We had a person, who resigned over mishandling a situation. But I don't think that's, that should be, preclude all Republicans. You know,
Is that what you'd say to the person?
yeah, I mean, is the person in tears or, I mean,
Okay. No,
I,
I'm sorry, I don't want to beat a dead horse. It's
Right.
okay, it's okay.
yeah, I mean,
You make a good point, I
Yeah.
think, too. Do you, so the Board of Ed, was that the only, town, 'cause
I was on planning and zoning very briefly. And that's when I decided to pull back from politics.
Mhm,
I want to be honest with you, I wanted to focus more on church
mhm.
and church life than politics and, I needed that.
Yeah. Well, thank you for telling us that. I appreciate it.
Okay.
Um. So when you say briefly, you didn't finish that term?
No,
right?
I
Okay,
resigned.
okay.
I don't remember exactly how long, maybe 6 months.
It's okay, it's okay.
Yeah.
I don't think I have any other questions right now, but do you have any?
No, you don't ask somebody in this position, where do you see yourself in 5 years? It's like, not in this job.
On the beach.
Yeah.
Why not?
Well, usually like you want people to move up, and you'd be like,
Right, right,
4.5 years out of office.
yeah.
Yeah, we're basically hiring a substitute teacher.
What did you say?
We're hiring a substitute teacher.
What do you mean?
Well, like a substitute teacher comes in and fills in. You're not hiring a teacher who's gonna teach for 30 years.
I mean, with great respect for substitute teachers, because I did that for a little while and it's
There's
hard.
nothing wrong. with
It's really
it.
difficult to go into a classroom of,
Yeah.
third graders who, yeah.
So third graders, is this one hearing that just?
No, but I don't really see it that way. I don't think we're hiring a substitute teacher. I mean, I think we should be, appointing someone who can run the town and lead us
Oh,
in,
yeah.
in a
Yeah.
good
I
direction.
just meant in terms of it's temporary, nature.
Okay.
No, I mean, I kind of know Sal, so that's, he's older than I am, but we grew up in Bethany. We're talking on the way in how this was part of the grade school when we started this building. And that hasn't actually changed much.
I think Don's doing a good job on the building.
What's that?
Don's doing a good job on the building,
Oh, $1 million here and there.
right? Right?
So do you know a lot of the town employees?
Some of them, yeah.
Yeah. Most of them, would you say?
A good number.
Okay.
I mean, not, I don't go out to dinner with them, but, yeah.
What do you think would be the biggest challenge to taking on the interim position?
biggest challenge. That's a good question. I don't know what would be the biggest challenge. I mean. Just, I mean, I'm assuming that the town is running pretty smoothly right now.
Why do you assume that? I think a lot of people, just because I've heard from people who are assuming the exact opposite of that.
No, see, I don't, I would assume that the people doing their jobs are doing a good job.
Oh, no,
That's what I mean.
no, I don't mean to say anything about the town employees.
Okay,
I'm talking about Paula's leadership, to be honest.
oh, okay,
Um,
okay,
So, I mean, town employees have no control over whether or not Paula implements a policy or whether or not other things happen. So I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about, people wondering whether, the Park and Rec department, got a lot of attention, let's
Sure.
say. But, people are wondering, like, what are the other departments looking like under Paula's leadership? And people are worried about that.
okay, yeah, I haven't heard any negatives about other departments, but they would all have my full support as far, as long as everything is being done properly, and I would assume that they are. I would always assume that things are okay until I learn otherwise. I don't want to go into it thinking, oh, this guy's corrupted, that they're not doing their jobs, right?
Of course, and again, I'm not talking about the town employees, but do you think it's reasonable for maybe a town resident to think that there might be some concern over the other?
Sure,
Other areas?
I'm concerned over the town, which is why I'm here. I mean, I should certainly understand people being concerned. You know? And
If you had a situation where you're receiving conflicting information from, let's say, two town employees, how would you imagine, I mean, it's very hypothetical, so if you can't
Mhm.
think of any answer,
Yeah,
it's fine. But I was just curious about how you deal with conflict. So you have two people who are really trying to pull you in different directions, and they're, let's say, both town employees. How do you envision dealing with situations like that?
well, if it's on the same issue and they have different visions and one person wants to go right, one person wants to go left, or, then you have to kind of make a call on what is best for the town. You have to use your judgment on that. If you have, conflicting information on an event, something that happened, I mean, you have to do an investigation. Typically, Wallingford, the personnel department would handle that.
So
I'm not certain.
Wallingford's big enough to have
Yes,
that, right?
yes.
Yeah.
So I'm not certain
Yeah.
what the policy is or how the procedure is handled in Bethany. But we'd have to find that out and do that. And if there isn't a procedure for that, remote will have to be implemented. Drawn up and,
Yeah. Do you think your sort of gut reaction would be to lean on the people that you know and ask them, for,
well, I would lean on the people that I trust,
Mhm.
and most of the people I know I trust.
Mhm.
If I didn't know somebody, I would, try and research it, ask people who know them,
Mhm.
and, like I said, you gotta do your due diligence, be fair.
Do you have any thoughts if you were appointed first selectman and took office and your first selectman starting tonight, tomorrow morning, something like that, what would your what would your approach be?
Who would I approach? Or-
No, how would you approach
Well, I would get a set of keys.
start from there,
Right.
yeah?
Introduce myself to everybody, all the employees, and go around meeting everybody, the different departments. Get to know the heads of all the departments and, and then probably call a meeting with everybody to try and get everybody on the same page and we go, find out if there's any concerns.
Any other questions or thought?
Can't think of it right now.
Do you have anything you'd like to add?
No, thank you for your time. I appreciate being here and for your consideration.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you for
all right.
coming.
Yeah, it was a pleasure meeting you.
Great meeting you too.
Okay,
Thank you for your willingness
thanks.
to throw your hat in the.
Okay, thank you.
Do you have anybody else that you wanna consider? And or do you want to discuss Sal Amadeo either in public or executive session? Those are two questions or maybe three.
I mean, I don't know how you wanna do this because.
Oh, that's what I'm asking.
Right, but
Yeah.
I'm just imagining like if I want to have a name and I want to appoint someone, do you want it to be, is it your preference that it's public or?
Well, I would do at least the same way, and then if, if you wanna discuss, or, you know, like you. Ask applicants to go in the other rooms, so you can talk about them behind their backs, you know, it's that kind of thing. Or we can invite them if you wanna. Discuss anything with them privately, but, I thought since there's people online and in the room that they may wanna hear from the applicants, so if you've got somebody you want, I'd probably do something, similar.
Well, I think that I have a short list, but they're not here right now.
Okay.
So I'm not gonna be able to do that.
And, well, I guess I'll ask, are you, do you wanna introduce them, or are you willing to consider Sal at this time?
I'd like to introduce, yeah.
Okay, then, do you wanna list their names, or you'd rather wait until, what do you think the next steps are?
Well, I think. I think it would be a good idea to go into executive session for a little bit to discuss, just details.
That's fine.
Yeah,
And then, did you anticipate any action after that? For the public benefit?
right,
To stay, but what we're gonna do is.
right,
adjourn,
right,
or
right,
should let
right,
them know.
right, probably not.
Okay, anything else in public session?
I guess I just wanted to say, it's a little bit off topic, Bob, so please indulge me. I just wanted, to say that Bob and I sent an email to, staff today of the town hall, and I just wanted to let people know that and we have, just in full transparency, we got an email from someone last week about, Turtle Crossing, where turtles were getting, really deep, badly injured on the corner of Morris and Sperry, I think. And I just want people to know that we may not be able to respond right away because Bob and I can't talk outside of public meetings. So if people have a concern, they should email us or call us, and we'll respond either by placing the concern on an agenda. We're going to meet frequently because it's the only way we can get anything done. So I just don't want people to think that we're not paying attention to that and not responsive if we can't really do anything until we meet. So the turtle thing, I guess, got resolved, so we don't have to put that on the agenda, but I just wanted people to know that that came in, and there were a couple of emails from staff today that sounded like they were grateful that we reached out and gave them our contact information. And I mean, I guess that's it. So we just hope that people will be patient with us, and we invite any town employee to contact us if they have a suggestion, or I actually don't really. I think the status quo is there's some positives to that. I don't think anyone should come in here and fire anyone. I think people should rest assured that their jobs are safe, I think that sort of status quo is a good thing. I don't think that not improving things that can be easily improved you know, I think we should move in that direction if we can. If someone has a suggestion for improvement, I'd love to hear about it. So, having said that, I think that's all I have.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, no, I mean, I would hope anyone that had similar answers to the. I mean, no one knows exactly what they're gonna face going into a new job, so you're gonna like, yes, I'm gonna meet the people, I'm gonna find out what the issues are. And obviously for this type of, short-term. Fill-in type thing, I don't think that somebody should come in and try to make the town a different town or anything like that. You didn't run for office on that platform.
Of course.
And get elected, but you're right, you can't come in and do nothing if there's common sense. Foreign ways to improve the town through, good business practices, then that's,
Mhm.
really don't need to wait for that.
Fine.
Right, you wanna,
I just hate to interrupt you. There was a discussion before with the interpretation of 9/2/22.
Mhm.
Do you want me, it sounds like it's gonna be another meeting, you want me to get a written clarification from the Secretary of State's office about that?
Couldn't hurt.
I mean, I guess, so, I mean, it doesn't. I mean, I guess if we can't come to an agreement, then the next group of people needs to know whether they
Have to wait.
can act earlier than 30 days or not.
I can do that, I'll email it to both of you,
Sure.
as long as, as staff, there's no discussion, but that you would be getting the information.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah,
And that's okay to do that, right? We're not inviting.
If staff is giving information,
Mhm.
but then you can't start a conversation by
Right.
email, that's.
Right, I mean, I can respond to you and say thank you, right? There's a limit to the craziness of the rules, but I did want to tell you too that I'll be doing some research myself and I'll send you anything that I come up with as well.
Sure.
Okay. So,
one of us has to move to go into an executive session to discuss an appointment pursuant to Connecticut General Statutes 1-206A.
second.
Okay, I guess I'm reading it.
Oh, I thought you were making the motion, I'm sorry.
Yes, you did.
Yeah,
You seconded it. All in favor?
I,
Aye. All right, we're gonna go in, we'll come out and adjourn, but no further business is planned, so care. So everyone should leave the room unless you want Sal to finally leave.
I think.
And if you want to talk about it, the topic with them tonight.
Sorry, I just want.
Case will be.
Can you tell him I said no? Okay.
Don't say hot, no.
Okay, right. Keeps talking about how it's time.
So, executive session ended at.
8:23. Okay.
Two. Okay, and then.
We,
have a schedule for them.
yes, we're gonna have a meeting this Thursday at 6:30. We'll follow an agenda with the office.
No. Thursday is the 12th.
Yeah,
We'll have to check room availability.
We'll
Can we
double
see if
check
the
that
room's
now.
available? Yeah, might as well do that now.
Yeah,
If there isn't a lot of time if we wanna do a hybrid thing, we have to probably like tomorrow.
okay.
do you mind doing that? Ben? Or do you want me,
Well,
I actually already have the template, I can do it, I'll
Just
do
do the
the same-
birthday meeting,
yeah. I'll do
Make
it,
it 6:30.
Yeah. I'll send it tonight. I already have the template,
Do we need to get another web
We'll do that when you send us the agenda.
Oh,
If you
just send it in Word format?
Send it in
Yeah.
Word format.
Okay.
He's just checking.
Do you wanna add the link or do you
Did
want
you,
me to take?
Did you turn the sound on for the people online?
Yes.
Do you, will you guys add the link or do you want me to send it in, like, do you wanna send it, last time I think I got the link and then I copied it on to the agenda.
Whichever's easiest for you. We can just cut and paste and then do it as save it as a PDF.
Perfect,
We can
let's do that, yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
You check about the 12th?
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah, we're-
6:30,
Yeah, nothing in the select.
okay,
Same room then and
Yeah.
Okay, so.
Thank you.
make it easy. Okay, we'll file that tomorrow. And there's nothing else on the agenda except for adjournment, so would you like to move? Like the
I
second,
move to adjourn,
I second. All in favor,
Aye.
aye.
8:26. Thank you.
It'll keep you in the house.